Chapter 20 deals with what is probably one of the most important things that we deal with almost on a daily basis: money. Janet Yellen is now the director of the Federal Reserve. Very powerful lady. We've had a few of them, and in a way they are almost more powerful than the president because they set what the interest rates are and have extraordinary power over things in this country. And you all know what money is. Barter is something where you trade. For example, you're a good mechanic, you fix somebody's car, and in return they paint your house. It can be a great thing. Technically, you're supposed to declare the value of a barter, but I don't know how many people do that. We've all exchanged favors with people, and there are bartering services where if you have a certain skill set, you can end up getting a lot of services done. Money is portable, durable, unique. It buys things. For the most part, it is stable, especially in America. However, something that might have cost $1 3 weeks ago might be $1.25. Those little, I think those dollar meals at McDonald's are now $1.50, $1.25, or it's now 2 for $3. Bitcoin, it's a digital currency. I have never used it. Very difficult to value. Some places do take it. The money supply, you've got three terms here: M1, M2, M3. M1 is the most liquid. They're printing a lot of money in this country. When countries start printing too much, we get inflation. And it says how long a bill will last. A dollar bill doesn't even last 2 years. Actually, the least durable one is the $5 bill. And I don't have too many $100 bills, but they last over 7 years. It talks about milestones in money, how the minimum wage about 60 years ago was only $1 an hour. It's now, I believe, $7.50 or $8, and now it keeps going up. I don't know if that $7.50 buys as much as it did 60 years ago. Probably not. A gallon of gas back then was probably about 25 to 30 cents. A third of an hour's pay nowadays. I'd say probably about a third of an hour's pay. So nothing like listening to your grandparents bitch about how something costs so much now. There's some money facts here. And I'm not going to ask that last bullet point on a quiz or a test. But it's interesting that we spend more on making pennies and nickels. And they keep saying get rid of the penny. They're good for something. I don't know what. Exchanging money here. If we have a high dollar value overseas, that means things are cheaper. For example, if I'm going to be in Canada and it's exchanging at 75 cents a dollar, that means I only need to pay 75 cents for something that would be $1 over there. That's good when it's falling. It's really good for travelers because they'll come here because they're going through the same thing that I am going through. But when you have that high value over there, $1, it would cost me $1.65 to buy a euro. In Europe, I went through that a few years ago. Things were expensive, but it was worth the trip. You just save a little extra money. It's all global trading. People bid on this. They trade futures in there. And as I said, talking about the impact of a falling dollar. If our dollar is weaker, people are going to buy our products. We get the tourism. Parts of the Federal Reserve System here. Supposedly protects us. Cash shortage problem over 100 years ago led to the Federal Reserve, and all chartered banks in 1913 had to join the Federal Reserve. There used to be panics on banks, and we've had quite a few bank failures in the past, I would say, few years. And there's different types of banks. You have the commercial banks, which would be someone I would say like Bank of America, savings and loan, savings banks. That would be like, I would say, People's Bank, credit unions, Sikorsky, and you only have to live in Fairfield County now. And there's non-banks. They all have their advantages. Credit unions are a great thing to belong to if you're an employer or if you want to join one. They do have some disadvantages. Credit unions can be easier to deal with, especially if you're getting a loan and you get lower rates. Talks about the commercial banks for businesses. And they have the services here. You can get a CD, and years ago you could get like 8% on a CD. Now you're lucky to get 1.5% to put the money away for a year or two, and so that $100 is now worth $101.50. And meanwhile, what you could have bought for $100 back then now costs $104. So it means it's worth less. Savings and loan. Things are blurring between these banks. For example, People's Bank does work with businesses now. Years ago, when I was a kid, it was only for individuals, and you got a better interest rate. For example, if you went to the commercial bank down the street, such as Fidelity, you might get 3%. You went to People's Bank, you'd get 4%. And back in those days, you'd get a toaster if you made a deposit. Credit unions, I like them. They're nonprofit, exempt from federal tax. A lot of places, large businesses, offer them. As I said, Sikorsky, there's other ones in the area. Non-banks, they don't accept deposits, but they can provide some services. Other thing too here, if you need money, it talks about non-bank lenders here. They can be very high, and they do have companies that do what? Loan out against a future paycheck. Very bad. They're loosening up the regulations so that more and more of these people can go out. And I hate to say it, if you're that type of person that needs that kind of money so fast with a payday loan, you're better off going to a loan shark. Online banking, most of you know what that is. You can pay your bills online. You save on stamps. It's actually showing a Bank of America screen there. Very quick. No reason to be late with the bill payment. You could tell it to take it out on the 30th of the month when you're writing it in there or posting it on the 1st. Talks about the banking crises. This has been mentioned quite a bit in the book. Blame can be spread around, and of course, only when they had that crisis 9 years ago, actually 8 years ago in 2000, 9 years ago in 2008, sorry. Only one person went to jail. A lot of people lost their money. Your money is safe in a bank. They are insured up to $250,000. So if you have $750,000, I would suggest putting it in 3 different banks. That way you'll be safe. Credit unions are also insured. And a lot of technical advancements in banking. You could do it on your phone now. Debit card. Any of you use PayPal? It's a good way to transfer money to people. Much easier, and it's definitely cheaper than a wire transfer. I've seen these Western Unions at grocery stores, and you could pay a pretty high fee to send money to somebody overseas, or even your daughter at college 82 miles away. Smart cards. I've never used one, still haven't seen one. And then in transactions in other countries, if you're dealing with business over there, they have letters of credit, banker's acceptance, other things. And we have the World Bank, the IMF, where it helps to stabilize the economy throughout the world. Some places, they could have inflation of 100% every day. We often see stuff going on in South America recently in some of the countries.